Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before I show you what we're going to be making, all the description of all the product I used, all the dimensions will be listed below. There's a link to my online store if you'd like to purchase any of these items. You can go there to do so. There's my email address if you have any questions. And finally, there is a Facebook group if you would like to join it. We'd love to have you. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and help me grow in YouTube world. I really appreciate that. So today we're going to be working with Art Gallery and the dies that go with it, which is called Floral Gallery. Both of these are on the clearance. They will not be in the new catalog. And at the time of filming, when I checked, they were still available. So if you're interested in these and want them, I would suggest you go to the online store and purchase them as soon as possible. So let me show you what we're going to be making. So we're going to be using just this stamp set today. And this is what we're making. It's a cute little card. I'll hold this up close because I want you to notice that there is some embossing around the edges here. Maybe up here you can see a little better. I'm going to show you how I got that, and the card opens this way and then this way, and this is also embossed in here as well. So let's move on to the project, and it closes this way, and then we have stamped the envelope. So let's do some stamping and move on. Let me set this out of our way. So what we need is some scrap paper, probably more than I need. Actually, I've got several pieces of scrap. Let's use this one first. These are photopolymer, so we are going to need a stamping mat. And we're going to be using Rich Razzleberry, Blushing Bride, and Old Olive. These two are both retiring, which I'm sad to see both of them go because I love them. But Old Olive is staying because it is truly a classic. I love that color. And we are going to stamp this image, which is this set here. And this is the interior piece that goes inside of these three flowers. And I'll show you how that works. So we're going to the first one in Rich Razzleberry. I'll get that one all stamped up. And I didn't get that one. Make sure you got it good and covered. And we are going to be stamping off, and I'm just using my mat. And then we're going to stamp this one right here. So it's much lighter. And I'm going to grab my Stampin Scrub. So we're going to do this a couple times. And I'm just doing this away from my project so I don't get ink splatter. And if you have not seen a Stampin Scrub, it looks like this. It's available in the annual catalog. And this or a chamois will work, either one you like. I like the Stampin Scrubs. Then we're going to use Blushing Bride for the next one. Make sure I have it nice and covered. We're stamping off with that one. When you're using photopolymer and you're stamping off, it's best to stamp off onto the mat so you have the same consistency when you're stamping. So we'll go like that. I'm leaving those two open because we're still not done. We're going to clean this one more time. Well, actually, I've got it one or two more times. And we're going to stamp this one in Old Olive. Now, I only care about the lower half of this. I don't really care about the upper half. And this one I am not stamping off. Stamp that just like that. Doesn't look too pretty right now, but it will when we're done. I'm done with the Old Olive, so we're gonna put that one away. I'm gonna clean this. We have one more thing, or two more things to stamp with this, but we're gonna finish these first. So this is the small stamp, and I'm grabbing the Rich Razzleberry. And And basically I'm lining up the very bottom. So basically this little very bottom right here of the stamp right into there. And it's not meant to line up perfectly. So it looks like that. Like I said, there's a little bit of cleaning on this one. And then we have Blushing Bride. Like that. So we're going to come back and die cut those in just a minute. And then for the front of the card and the inside of the card, we have two pieces that are 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and we need to stamp both of those. One we're going to set aside for just a moment because we're going to have to stamp it after. So this one we are going to stamp in Blushing Bride, stamping off, and we're going to come towards the bottom because this is the piece where you're going to be able to sign. And then we'll put on our extra little pieces here. Just like that. And that's for the inside of our card. And we're going to clean this off one more time. I know it's a lot of cleaning today, but I like the effect it gives. So we're done with the Blushing Bride. And our envelope, as soon as I find the envelope, we are going to do in Rich Razzleberry. You could do it in Blushing Bride too, but stamping off again. And you could use multiple colors on this if you wanted, but then we'll get the Rich Razzleberry here. So that's our envelope all done. Now, we're not done with the Rich Razzleberry, but we have to do a little scoring technique before we add the happy birthday to this one so it's in the right place. And adding a little border on the front of your card is really simple. Get the cutting blade out of the way. Now I have a 1/4 inch border on here. So I'm lining my paper up at a 1/4 inch. Giving it a nice little skirt and go clear around the page at a 1/4 inch. It takes a couple minutes to, minute or so to do this, but I think it really adds a nice effect to the card. And you could do multiple borders if you want. So you can see where the focus. Now this one we're going to go ahead and do now as well. Going over it a couple times because I wanted a nice deep line in there. So that's the inside piece. And we've taken that scoring right through the flowers. Now on this one, we want to stamp happy birthday. We want the happy birthday just above that score line. Now, if you want to be brave, you could do that ahead of time, but I'm trying to keep my head out. I want to see where I'm going here. And I'm going to stamp that in Rich Razzleberry. And you don't have to make this a birthday card. You can make it any kind of card you wanted. So it's just like that. So now we have those two mats. I'm going to set those aside and set that aside. And I'm going to set all my stamps aside here so I don't get my stuff into it. We're going to bring this back in. And I'm just going to just to make it a little easier to go through my die cut machine. And we're going to die cut those 3 out. And then we're going to be basically cutting it up to make our bouquet. And there's a die that cuts this whole thing out. This stamp set I love. I've used it several other times. I like to use it for One Sheet Wonders, and it's definitely a stamp set I'll be keeping and not selling. That one like that. And with all die, when you're repeating your die cuts, go inside here and make sure that you have cleaned out all of the paper from inside your dies, or if you keep on going, it won't cut very well because it gets jammed up. And I'll line this one up. Takes a few more minutes to line up the lighter colors, but not much. And remember, your plates need to be off center, not lined up, or it doesn't work real well, which I tend to do all the time. And I'm going to apologize right now for my crackly voice. I have been battling a head cold, and so my voice is a little on the cracky side. And then the green. Once again, I'm going to go in here and make sure I have nothing sticking in any of the holes. This one, we're just cutting out this lower section because we want the green stalk and a few green pieces. Always take the second to just clean out my dies before I put them away, so you don't forget the next time. And so let me clean this up real fast and get some of this out of our way. There we go. Now, what did I do with the green one? It's not trash. I threw it in the trash. You watched me scoop that up and said, what is she doing? She's throwing it away. So, we are going to do a little trimming now. I've got my snips here. And first one we're going to do is the green. And what I'm doing is I'm just following the lines. And I'm not going to use that one. I'm just going to come up here and just sort of look where your stalk is. If you can see the stalk here. Cutting along here and here. It's just like I'm doing little snips. Of course, round them off a little bit. So that's all we're going to do for that at the moment. Now these, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the stems off and the flower petals this time. I'm just doing little circles around them. Making them look good. just like that. And I'm going to take this little, take that little one off. No two of these will ever turn out the same because you lay them out differently. But it does take a minute to go through and just trim this up so I don't have sharp edges, so it looks smooth. So there's those flowers. We'll save that in case we want to use it. Setting those off to the side, and we'll do the same thing with the Rich Razzleberry one if I can pick it up. Yeah, it doesn't take much to cut this, and it's not like we're fussy cutting the whole flower, it's just little sections. There's a raspberry one. Cut this little stalk off, we don't need it. Oh. And I'm going to cut this one down here. So we have those pieces. And I want to use some of this, what look like berries to me. I'm going to come in here and just clean that up a little bit so we don't have any sharp edges. And I want to use the pink one as well. Just cut off a little piece there and smooth those edges off. Okay. Now it's time to get our happy birthday back here, and we're going to build this up. Looking at, pulling on my other one so I can look at it and see what I did last time. I want it to look similar. So, looking for the two, some of the largest ones here. Let's take these two. I'm going to put those about there. And then these guys, what I did was I stuck them just off to the top here, so you're not seeing the whole thing, just a little bit. And then the pink one on this side. If I can lift. So I'll just start gluing and you'll see what I'm talking about. If I can pick anything up today. We're going to put some on with glue and some with dimensionals. We're just making a little collage of flowers. Out like that. Like I said, some of these will be on dimensionals, but these first ones are not. And if you stick up a little bit above, it's not bad, but not too much. Lift this up a little bit. Just adding a little extra color there. And then I'm going to sort of rotate colors. Now, at this point, I'm going to start putting some dimensionals on. Doesn't take many. And just sort of stagger them. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. But I do have that one a little too high in my estimation. So I'm going to move it down a little bit. And then these guys here, we're going to put on dimensionals as well. And you could make more flowers if you wanted, but I thought this was sufficient. And then our nice stalk here, we're going to take this one off right here. And we're going to put our greenery right like this. That's what's fun about these. You can die cut most of it and then just come in and fussy cut out different layers to give your cards different dimension. Glue's taking a second drive here because I've got it going up on it, excuse me, up on a dimensional. And then we're going to take a couple of these little stalks and sort of cut them down for a little more greenery in our bouquet. I got a little sharp edge there, and round that off a little bit. And just sort of tuck it in different places, just to pop a green here and there. Just to add some greenery. Ooh. Like that. That's the bouquet so far. Now, I'm going to finish building this before we build the base of the card. So what we need is some ribbon. And I've decided to use, this is the gold, golden ivory ribbon, and it is carrying over. And I just need a small piece here. And we're going to put it right about here, just covering up the stalk. And you know me, I like, when I use tape, use ribbon, I just use a little bit of tape. But you used glue dots. Ooh, that's not straight. Let's back that up. We do want our ribbon straight. So let's straighten that out again. Don't pull too tight though, because you don't want to bow. Oh, it's going to be fun today. You don't want to bow your card by putting your ribbon on too tight. Oh, that works for me. Now, I'm going to leave that right there. Now you could run another stalk down if you wanted to. And then I'm going to take a small piece of ribbon and make me a little faux knot bow. Oh, yeah, we'll just make this one. Just a little faux knot. Cut a little piece off this, a little long. And grab myself a glue dot. And we're going to put that right here in the center. Now we'll clip this off to the right size. So that is the front of the card. So we'll come back and put, well, let's go ahead and just put the bling on it while we're at it. Now this is retired. These are gold adhesive swirls that came out with the framed florets last November. And I wanted gold, and I looked around what I had because I've been using up all my supplies because I was waiting for the new catalog. And this is the only gold I had other than butterflies, and I didn't want to use butterflies. So look around, find something gold, or you could use a different color ribbon and not use gold. You know, always make it your own. But I wanted to use up some of what I had in stock since my stamping or border has not arrived yet. So this is like that. And you could glue, tape those down if you wanted, but I like them to be free. So that's the front. So let me get this out of here and let's make the card. Gotta have some place to put that pretty panel onto. Just moving a few things. So let me grab our pieces here. We have a piece of Blushing Bride that is 9 inches by 3 inches, scored at 4 1/4. And like I said, all the dimensions will be on my blog, down below this. This is a piece of DSP that is 4 by 5 1/4, and this is from Washed Beauty. And this is a piece of Rich Razzleberry, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So let's burnish these, because I know I had not done it because they're still popping up quite nicely. Okay, so the first thing we need to do for our card is we need to trim at an angle here so we get the angle of our card. So determine this is your front panel, and you're going to line up from the score line, fold line, to the tip. And like I've said in the past, make sure you start from a flat side if possible, so that you don't damage the tips of your corners. So that goes like this. Now this piece here, look at where you're doing it. This is going on this. That means we have to cut across this way. If you cut this way, it doesn't work. So make sure, and we're going from corner to corner. I'm going to start in the middle this time, since I have 2 ends, like that. So I have those 2 pieces. This is scrap, used for something else. It's a nice size. So first we're going to put this on. Making sure I drag, I'm not squeezing, I'm just dragging glue into those corners so it adheres properly. And this doesn't have a real big border, but I still want some of the border to show. It's maybe an 1/8 inch, not like that. And then this one goes on here. Once again, I'm taking the tip and just pulling some glue right into that very corner so it doesn't lift up on me. And this one's going on this one here. Like that. Okay, so that's the base of our card. Next is this piece. What you want to do is you want to center it, but you want to make sure that this can close and this can close like this. So what I do is I just sort of leave this open so I can see where I'm at. But I still want to make sure I'm centered in the middle. I see about where I'm going. Make sure it can still close. It's, like I said, there's no exact measurement. Double checking before I commit to my location. Okay, now we have our inside piece. So we've got this open. It's going to go in like this. I think this bottle's getting a little on the low side. And if you guys have noticed, my trimmer is working beautifully now because I did change the blade after last week's furry pages. That goes like that. And this is going to close like this. I'm going to leave it this way for now until I adhere this next piece on. This is going on here. And I'm going to use dimensionals. You don't have to. You could go flat, but I want it up on dimensionals. And I like using enough dimensionals that my card is going to arrive in the post and not be flattened out and destroyed. And when I do use this many dimensionals on a project, I will lots of times put a piece of paper or something in between to protect it. So this is going to get lined up on here. That like that. And this will close like that, and that is our card. I think it's a very nice card. It still stands up, so you can see it rests on there like this. That's how it looks when it's standing. It's hard to show on a camera. But it closes like this. You have plenty of room to write. And if this is, oh, we don't need the extra dimensional in there back. If you don't have enough room to write here, you can always add another piece to it. And here is our envelope. And so, looks very much like the first one. Here's the first one I did. Not much difference, just a little bit. You know, things aren't laid out exactly the same. So, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you on Wednesday. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.